And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
There they go. Yep.
That's a cold kill, baby.
Wait for the sonic booms.
All right, there we go. Pope Elon, One-Eyed Jack and the Shells. Just want to say what's up to everybody. Give you a heads up here. Earlier today, we streamed part one from the discussion between myself and John Lebon about flat Earth, the Mandela effect, and everything else, pretty much, between those two. Auto hoaxing we discussed. So we pretty much run the gauntlet from extreme objectivism, which is what auto hoaxing is, to extreme subjectivity, which is what Mandela effect is, or simulation theory. Oh, awesome. So if you are looking at the screen right now, let me go ahead and move on over to the DLive screen. We have some new stickers, is what they call these. So if you're new to DLive, you'll see that people have the option of spamming your chat with animated memes. And so the first two have been created here thanks to Def Mike. We got the wrenched penguins, one with the crown, and then of course one with the wrench that says SPOD, Speak Penguin or Die. Speak Penguin or Die. The flat Earth or conference Earth enclosed VIP model cannot survive another year. It just can't. It barely made it through this one. I mean, I can't believe they're still kicking, if you want to call it that. I mean, it was pretty pathetic. It's pretty bad where you have a woman beater like Nathan Thompson verbally assaulting and chasing out Globers who are kind of curious about the flat Earth. It's insane. I mean, you go to a Bigfoot conference, they're not going to chase you out because you don't believe in, literal Chewbacca out there in the woods. So anyway, it was out of control. It was ridiculous. At least they got a comedian there. And if nothing else, that's probably noteworthy. The first time a comedian on stage ever said such and such is a hoax. Because most comedians are uber gatekept. And a lot of them are social justice warriors disguised as comedians. I mean, isn't that what they are? Bill Maher, Politically Incorrect, is the most politically correct piece of garbage show I've ever seen. And that guy is an SJW. Jimmy Kimmel, SJW. There's no comedians there. Now that's a conspiracy, that any of these government jesters are actually comedians. If they don't auto hoax, they're just not funny. They're mainstream. They're safe. Restream Bot from YouTube says their precious VIP dome model is toast. Oh, the dome is dumb, and it's not going to last, I guarantee. If you got a dome model, here's the problem with the dome. There's a few problems with it. It's too early to have a complete model. It's putting the cart before the horse. And here's the trouble. In all likelihood, even if we are under a dome, there's more land. And our North Pole is not at the center. And I'm just basing this off of Sturgio Studios 10 and his analysis of what the moon is and how it may actually be, and I tend to agree, an X-rayed projection onto the ionosphere of the Earth below. Showing the land, showing the sea, but revealing far more land than what we have access to. There's an entire other landmass, much larger. In fact, it looks like Pangea, if we're going by this theory, which we may get into later. But let me go ahead and get into this topic here. I came across something last night, a few things. This is one. At first, I thought that Donald Trump was having I don't know, what would you call it? A mask malfunction. I was like, oh crap, look, his mask's falling off. Who's behind it? I was expecting his face to fall off and reveal, like Jared Kushner or something. Or Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, who the hell's wearing that fat suit? But no, actually, that's makeup. The orange makeup. So it's not actually his, quote, good genes. Nope. He wakes up every day and he puts this... I think he dips his face in a tub of this stuff, whatever it is. whatever it is. Politicalflare.com, Angry Creamsicle, Comrade Cheetolino, Mango Mussolini, and Agent Orange. These are just a few of the nicknames that Donald Trump has picked up along his presidential road. Anyway, that's a major mask malfunction. Don't know how it happened. Somebody suggested that maybe he puts his own makeup on after being sued by his former makeup artist for sexual harassment. Okay, this is something too. Okay, so I've been on float.app, and if you're not on float.app, you need to be. Go to infiniteplaneradio.live, and you can watch my live streams there. Float.app can really replace Facebook and Twitter for you, and it's got better memes. I have proof right here, some of the stuff that I've been seeing. And because this is basically a community of people who are very conscious of the book burning agenda, which is everywhere. I mean, the book burners are everywhere. It's out of control. That's why we're spearheading Celebrate Hate Week. So if you didn't know, April 13th to April 20th, 2020, Celebrate Hate Week. And what you're obliged to do is tweet, post, spam with sock puppets, the hashtag Celebrate Hate, and just post banned memes or memes like this. The ruling class in every age have tried to impose a false view of the world upon their followers. George Orwell. Let me give you an example. In 2 days, we're going to get nuked by North Korea, if you believe the news, if you believe North Korea. So the ruling class can say, hey, we need you to buy us a bunch of tanks, a bunch of missiles, and buy us these big brainwashing camps so we can conscript your youth and turn them into killing machines to protect you from those nukes. There you got it. A false worldview. And this creates the need for this defense force, big state, big government solution. It's all problem, reaction, solution. Okay, so let's get back on target here. Okay, look, here's something else too. Take a look at this. Here's just some example. This again is from float.app. Examples of this is your North Pole before, and it's not even laughable. It's not fantasy. The fact that the North Pole used to have land masses. The guy who gave you your Mercator map drew it this way. So isn't that interesting that now it's just ice or water, if you want to believe the institutions that have pretty much brainwashed how many generations now that North Pole is nothing. And now it's creeping, now it's moving. And here's something else too about 5G. I'm not sure if this will make you feel better or not. So I was doing some research on 5G this morning, and no, they're not actually gonna zap you. The problem is with these is that the range is very short. So I had originally thought that if you're in eyesight, as in if you can see a 5G tower and it can see you, it can zap you. Obviously, it's a human bug zapper, and they're going to use these in 2020 to clean house, or so I thought. I thought maybe the flood this time around isn't going to be water. Maybe they'll use a different type of weapon to clear the space here. Maybe they'll just use waves. Maybe they'll use these 5G towers. But no, the range is actually very short. So instead of, this is what's so funny about it, is that they've had people scared to death about these towers for how long? Like Richie from Boston, he sees one of these towers and he shivers. It's like, man, it doesn't have the range to hurt you. They're not going to hurt you until they bring the 5G box into your house. And even then, is being afraid of 5G, is it any more or less reasonable than being afraid of, let's say, microwaves? How many of you fear the microwave? I mean, it will kill you, but it'll take decades if you eat a lot of the microwavable garbage. But the microwave itself, will that kill you? Even if you leave a fork in it, it's not going to kill you. And I'm starting to think that maybe 5G terror is just a hoax. Chad says, short millimeter waves delivering up to 24 gigahertz. See, I think this might be misdirection. I think the real damage, or the real mind control, isn't being done by low frequency waves. I think the real mind control is being done by in-your-face liars. But there is this to consider. Silent sound subliminal mind control. Patent number 5159703 from 1992. Although it should be noted that just because someone has a patent doesn't mean such a thing exists or works. But anyway, it says output is more or less like a steady tone sounding like tinnitus but with hypnosis embedded. Brain can hear and understand the voice and the words that are being said, but the ears only hear a tone, a buzzing, or a ringing. And what's more, these types of silent sound subliminal commands can be piggybacked on existing radio signals. So who knows? Maybe if you go take some InfoWars, through your editing software, you could extract something where it says, buy my erection pills or something. Super male vitality. Something has to explain it. Okay, let's continue. I wanted to get to this other point here, though. I came across a few things. One, oh yeah, on Float. So on Float, I came across this very disturbing story about a high-level police commander and his wife who were basically arrested for running a child sex ring. I mean, this is horrifying. And if you actually read the story, and I don't recommend it, basically it's a high-level Livingston Parish sheriff in Louisiana, and he and his wife were arrested for running a sex ring. I think he got charged with something like 70-something different in distinct charges. It's horrible. And he beat Philip Stallings by 7 charges. This is the founder of the Biblical Flat Earth Society. I bring him up because when I was talking to John Lebon about this, he had not heard about this. And he's like, why haven't I heard? Isn't this big news? And it should be big news. A lot of these stories should be. Whenever Flat Earth makes the news, you have all kinds of channels ready to talk about it. Shaquille O'Neal burps, and it sounds like he said flat, and Mark Sargent has a video up 30 seconds later. But they all seem to ignore this one, and maybe it's because this guy was a child porn kingpin charged with 56 counts of exploitation, and in 2016, he did a documentary with Rob Skiba and Robbie Davidson, both conferencers. And the reason why this isn't just guilt by association is that if you did 10 seconds of research on this individual, you would find that he had been outed as a predator 10 years ago. It's all over Facebook, all over the internet. So, just think it's a little unusual in light of other individuals associated with the same clique. But I'm bringing this up to familiarize you with it because they don't want you to know about this, and I do. I think you ought to know about it because it's highly suspect considering the topic. When you're looking at a suspected controlled opposition operation, it should raise some red flags that you have a high number of sex offenders. Okay. Antipodes. This is a geographical term having to do with the spots on Earth diametrically opposed to where you are. So, for example, if you dig a hole to China, well, China would be your antipode. Now, this is only hypothetical. The idea that if you're on a ball, yeah, you could draw a line or dig a hole straight through and pop out the other side. And so this is an interesting article. I was just kind of reading about it when this concept came out, and I came across some stuff that kind of surprised me, and it had to do with this idea that the equator was so hot that you couldn't go past it. So the first Roman geographer asserted that the Earth had 2 habitable zones, north and a south, but it would be impossible to get in contact with another because of the unbearable heat at the equator. So the idea that the equator was impassable because of heat. And now I have a follow-up article here where there's this discussion. It's between a 7th century pope, something of a debate, having a correspondence about the shape of the world and everything else. And he makes an interesting comment here about this idea that if there were more land beyond the known lands, it would require another sun and moon. So two interesting references here, and I'm going to find the exact quote where you have, again, it's like some 7th century pope talking about that this would require another sun. Here we go. It was Pope Zachary. He said, "Beneath the earth there is another world and other men and another sun and another moon." That was his belief. That would explain to him how it would work to have more people underneath, to have people on the antipodes. And then, of course, again, it was the first geographer, Pomponius Mela, the first Roman geographer, who asserted that you can't go to the bottom because you can't go past the equator because it's too hot. And I'm like, that's kind of like our ice wall. So what, you got a firewall, and now we have an ice wall. The idea, of course, of another sun and another moon makes sense only if you aren't asserting that the sun and the moon are these distant objects, but are mostly local. But I thought that was an interesting remark too about Pope Zachary, the idea that beneath the earth was another world, other men, another sun, and another moon. Anyway, you can find this article on Wikipedia. I'll put a link for you. It just says the other world and the antipodes, the myth of unknown countries between antiquity and the Renaissance. Thanks for the lemon champagne crypto. Appreciate it. We're trying to, we really already have made the transition. We've moved away from reliance on YouTube and Google, and basically, I can say whatever the hell I want. One of the things I'm doing is having everything that we post here automatically backed up on Library and BitChute. So, of course, if you're on my Patreon, you get the archives emailed to you. Let me go ahead and put a link in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead and play part 3, or part 2 and part 3. It's broken up into MP3s of this John Lebon talk that we had. Part 1 was live. I'm going to live stream the next part in about 10 minutes. So to get access, of course, you'll get a link emailed to you, but you have to be on our Patreon to get that link. So I'll be back in about 10 minutes with a new live stream. If you want to go there, I have a link below, and we'll see you there.
We are at risk of having a flat Earth report come out of the House Intelligence Committee as to what happened with Russia.
A flat Earth report. Those are striking terms.
flat Earth report come out of the House Intelligence Committee as to what happened with Russia.
A flat Earth report. Those are striking terms. A flat Earth report. Those are striking terms. A flat Earth report. Those are striking terms.